Hansu.
Good day, YouTube. Hatsup here. I'm standing next to Sir Ulfar the Wall, Varangian knight of some renown. He's the big guy with the mace and the shield beating up on me in the background there. Now, I wouldn't blame you if you have no idea about who or what I'm talking about. You see, when they developed this game in 1936, it was commonplace for video games to dole out its lore in non-sequential, single-page journals strewn on the floor for anyone to find. Gamers were idiots back then, and accepted this premise without much complaint, even though it makes no logical sense. However, the modern gamer expects a bit more. Typically big-boobied ladies and high-production cutscenes, but I digress. To help bridge the gap, in today's video, I'm going to go over what we know about the Varangian Knights. The devs are preparing for this new enemy faction to play a big part in the narrative of the game, and there are hints they may have direct impact in the dynamic state of the open world. They're introducing a slew of new quests in the upcoming May patch that'll be worth your time doing if you care about the game's lore. So, let's get you prepared, shall we? The Varangian Knights were introduced to the game in the December Into the Void content patch. Data miners at the time revealed that they were referred to as the evil_knight faction in the game's code, which makes me laugh every time. It's so directly straightforward. But make no mistake, like the other enemy factions in the game, the Varangian Knights are heavily composed of recycled content. The devs cleverly reuse the models and animations we as players use for attacks. But I can't be mad at them for it. It's actually pretty cool. It feels like you're fighting other players at times. Overall, they did a pretty good job in the implementation. I'm not going to be too harsh on this point. One glaring difference from other enemy factions is the lack of an elemental weakness. They seem to have a common weakness to slash damage, but nothing else. There aren't any Varangian Bane or Ward perks for our gear. I hope it's not in the devs' plan to do so, because it would just mean another PvE armor set. Can't really organize easily in your storage. In terms of lore, admittedly we're given little. The Knights have war camps located in Monarch's Bluff and First Light. They've also commandeered a fort called Stonereach Keep, which is situated next to Everfall. This is their base of operations. This sort of dynamic incursion into the map as patches evolve the threat is a pretty great way to introduce a new enemy faction, I'm not gonna lie. I'm excited to see where they go with it. I can see the ultimate payoff being a grand expansion with the Varangian Knights front and center. Let's hope the game makes it there, eh, Amazon? The devs haven't said it explicitly, but it seems obvious these knights are based on a real-world military unit called the Varangian Guard. Varangian is just a medieval term for Viking. A real brief synopsis on these guys. I'll link to a much better and informative video on this if you're truly interested. But in short, they were Norse mercenaries paid to be the personal guard of the Byzantine Emperor, and they served in that capacity for almost 400 years. Their Nordic customs eventually mixed with the traditional Western European flair of the area, which is why you see them depicted in heavy plate mail and other medieval garb, which is atypical for what we think of as Vikings. Each of the war camps have lore notes that you find that hint at a very militaristic and feudal structure for the Varangian Knights. They have a strict hierarchical ranking system. There are minor knights that serve under wealthy knights, commanders who are currying the favor of lord knights above them. The structure that we've been introduced to for this Varangian Knight invasion campaign consists of the following. 3 commanders were introduced to us via the quests that they introduced in the December Into the Void patch. They are Sir Ruval the Jovial, who mans a camp on the beach in Monarch's Bluff, Sir Freelav the Flame, who leads a similar camp in First Light, and finally, Sir Ulfar the Wall, who you saw me with earlier. He has the important job of establishing a permanent headquarters for the Varangian Knights at Stonereach Keep, which is why I'm putting him up a little higher in hierarchy, though it seems Ulfar locks horns with Ruval regularly. These 3 report into Lord Commander Atlas, who writes to Ulfar that he's on his way to our shores and expects the keep to be provisioned and garrisoned in perfect order for his arrival. It seems like Atlas is the big bad of the story. Above Atlas, there are references to a lord and master leading this whole contingent of knights called the Varikulaki, seemingly from his seat of power in Isnavagrad. I'm probably butchering that name, I'm sorry. It's in Old Norse. It's not clear if this is a city or country on Eternum, or if they ventured from outside the storm walls. Hopefully they reveal more of that in the coming months, because I think it could be a really interesting setting for a new land in Eternum. The knights seem to follow a honor code called Varric's Law. Now, they aren't very honorable, don't get me wrong. They come off as completely ruthless. There are multiple references to them torturing and flaying prisoners on Eternum when they landed. So these are definitely not good guys. They are evil _ knights, of course. Now, the motivations of the Varangian Knights are steeped in mystery. There are some hints given here and there. One of the lore notes state that they're looking for any magical relics and hunting for the location of a wizard's tower. I think they call the wizard Mirrodin. This really perked my ears up, because I remember a different set of lore notes with the launch of the game that made reference to a wizard named Mirrodin that seemed to be working with King Arthur. Yes, the King Arthur. Mirrodin seems to be a proxy for Merlin the wizard, or maybe an Old Norse spelling of Merlin. There's a lot of parallels. It's a fascinating connection. The story with Mirrodin in New World's lore is he eventually goes mad from the corruption and joins the corruption army, leading forces to decimate all living things on the island. We don't know how long ago that was. The lore notes don't make any reference to years and stuff, but it's there. So it's very possible the Varangian Knights have some connection with King Arthur and these events. I'm really hoping they flesh that out more. But I hate to say it, I mean, that's it. That's all we know so far. In the upcoming May patch, a new set of quests are being given to further the Varangian Knights storyline. Apparently, they take over another fort, and we'll be able to follow a number of quests there. Unfortunately, they are all low-level quests, I think in the level 35 to 45 range, so not much benefit to endgame players unless you just care about the lore. These quests are actually quite unique and even involve a bit of platforming. I highly suggest you try them out when they come to live. I don't want to spoil too much about it. One last thing I wanted to point out about the Varangian Knights is I was really hoping for a more classic medieval armor set from these guys, even, just for future transmog. But man, their armor drop, their unique armor drop is complete trash. I'm showing it to you on the screen. It looks nothing like what they're wearing. I don't know what the art director was going for here. Hopefully this does improve over time as the story expands, and maybe hopefully a dungeon with some better gear. But yeah, that's it for this video. Short and sweet. We've got the PvP patch coming up, and this new lore stuff, and a new mutated dungeon. I'm super excited for the next May patch. If you like this video, please give it a like, and if you want to see more from me, please hit that subscribe button. It's how I know I'm on the right track. Thanks, everyone. See you in Eternum.